So, okay, folkens, we have one more before lunch break. Let's see here. Studies have shown that this is the number of strong innovators in product development groups, independently of what sector you work in or where in the region you are working with, that can be defined as strong innovators. And for me and my company, that means that we are around 5 people that are strong innovators. If we think about innovation is happening in research development groups and product development groups. And of course, in a market that is changing very fast, like life science, 5 people is below the critical mass. So if I can leave you with one message today, that would be that innovation is so much more than products. My role in Thermo Fisher is Director for Innovation and Technology. And as I said before, I'm working in Thermo Fisher. And Thermo Fisher is the largest company in the world when it comes to biotechnology and life science. We are around 60,000 employees all around the world, and we invest more than $700 million per year in research development. And our mission, as we see it, is to enable our customer to make the world healthier, cleaner, and safer. And that's a mission I think most of our employees, including myself, are very proud to be behind. In Norway, we have 2 locations. We have one in Oslo, close to Radiumhospitalet, and one in Lillestrøm. In total, we are around 200 people in Norway working with life science challenges. We have around 200 people, and our biggest market is in US and Europe, while the biggest growth we see in China. It's huge activity in life science in China. So what are we selling? We're selling monosized small beads that can be used to isolate DNA, RNA, proteins, and cells. And once you have isolated any of these biomolecules, a lot of basic scientists around the world in different universities is studying the effect of these DNA or cells that has been using Dynabeads to be isolated. But in addition to that, we're also being part of diagnostic testing. Actually, when we're standing here, every second 55 IVD diagnostic test is happening around the world using Dynabeads. And the third area where we are active is in a new area called cell therapy. And one of our biggest partners recently got the announcement from the Food and Drug Administration that a new drug is approved, so they can now use cell therapy to treat children with leukemia, and our Dynabeads is an important ingredient in this therapy. Especially in diagnosis and cell therapy, there's large changes in the market, and I would like to share 2 of those changes with you today that is affecting how we work with innovation and the importance of innovation. We are going from a group-based treatment to individualized treatment. The reason why we do that is that we have learned more and more how different genes are linked to disease development. So in the future, we will most likely, many of us that will be affected by disease, have a DNA test where we sequence the DNA to understand what kind of genes we have, and based on our own gene map, our doctor will recommend to be using treatment A, B, or C, depending on our gene maps. That's a big change in the market. Another big market is within the diagnostic field. Localization today, where diagnostic tests is happening, is mostly in hospitals, big labs with a lot of platforms. Very soon, most of these diagnostic tests is not going to happen in the hospital anymore. It's going to happen in our homes. So a lot of companies throughout the world is investing in developing small devices that is easy to use, where we actually can diagnose ourselves at home instead of going into the hospital. As I said, in a market like life science, where innovation is a must. It's not an option for us not to innovate. And we cannot fail in our innovation. And what studies have shown is that innovation doesn't fail due to lack of creativity. It mostly fails due to lack of discipline. And 1.5 years ago, I met an associated professor at the business school here in Oslo, Peder Inge Furseth, and he introduced me to a framework that Larry Keeley and his colleague has developed. And what Larry Keeley and his colleagues did was that they studied 2,000 successful companies. They included Toyota, Hertz, Gillette, Dell Computer, and they broke down what these customers or these companies had done that made them successful. And what emerged for them was that there was a framework. And that framework is something that my company is starting to use to make sure that we are successful in our innovation roadmap ahead. The framework was named by Larry Keeley as 10 types of innovation. And 10 types of innovation constitutes of 3 different categories. On the left side here, you have the configuration part. That's the part that is further away from customer, which has an internal focus. Innovation types in this part is profit model. The previous speaker talked a little bit about that. Deciding what kind of profit model you're going to get could be the difference between success or failure. And profit model could be if you decide to be premium pricing, if you are willing to share risk with your customers. That example of a profit model innovation. Network is maybe one of the biggest and most important innovation types today, and also the reason why we're here today. Because no company, not even Thermo Fisher, which is 60,000 employees, should or can do everything by ourselves. We need to interact with others around us. And open innovation and crowdsourcing are examples of innovation types within network. Other type of innovation in the configuration category is processes. Lean production is the well-known example of an innovation form when it comes to configuration. Lean production is where companies try to identify waste to reduce cost out of their value stream. So that's a way for us as a company to reduce our cost and be able to invest more in research and development and provide better offerings, which are the next category. So when people think about innovation, they often think about offerings, so new products and the bundling of products. So this is the area, the offering part, where most companies spend their money. Moving on, getting closer to the customers, you have what they have defined as experience. I'm not going to go into each of these different type of innovations, but I would just like to mention the last one, because the last one is very important, and that's customer engagement. And we as a company, depending on size, we all need to understand how we can interact and have a mutual communication with our customer that makes a value for us as a company, but also for our customer. And what we have done is to use this framework to map and better understand what we're doing in innovation. So we're going from a myth thinking about innovation to a method. And what we saw when we identified what we have done in innovation was that we do quite a good job on the left side, reducing cost, thinking about how we can make money. But what we can do better at is the customer engagement part on the right side. So by using this framework, we have been able to better analyze our whole innovation process with the aim to provide better service and better products for our customer. Yes. So again, I started when I introduced myself that I would like you to think about innovation in a broader sense than just products. And this kind of types that I just went through are important. And I would like to quote the leader of Amazon. He said a couple of weeks ago, which I think was very wise of him, he said that our customers are loyal to us all the way until our customer finds somebody else that provides a better service. And think about the motivation and the requirements that lies in that statement. It's not only about the product anymore, it's about combining all the different types of innovation to be able to stay number one or become number one. Thank you for attention.